Working harder almost made me quit my business. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to go over the difference between working hard and working scared. And if your business feels heavier than it should do, this video is for you. Because for a long time, I didn't realize that I was working scared, even though I thought I was working hard. I spent so much time trying to force my business forward that it almost made me quit. It seriously had me questioning what I was doing with my life. And the reason I'm sharing this is because if you're early in your journey, there's a mistake I'm seeing a lot of people making. And I made it too. I started my agency for the same reason a lot of people do. I wanted a better life. I didn't want to finish university, get a job, and live on someone else's terms. But at some point, that want turned into a sort of desperation. In the back of my head, there was this constant thought of, this has to work out. And every day that passed without tangible progress made me more and more frustrated with myself. So I pushed harder, more hours, turning up the heat, putting more pressure on myself to get it. I thought intensity was the answer, because online it seems that it is. And after about 6 months of learning and failing, I had reached the end of my second year at university, in a place where I never thought I would be. For the first time, I was experiencing real anxiety and worry about my life. And if you know me, you know that's far from who I actually am. And you see, I spent the next couple of months in a rut, not because I wasn't working. I was working harder than ever, but I was in a rut because my energy was off. Everything felt forced. And eventually I realized why. I had placed so much importance on this outcome that it was actually blocking me from getting there. And that's when this idea finally clicked, that you can't need what you want. You see, I don't need to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to be a successful entrepreneur. And the mindset I have now is that I already am a successful entrepreneur. The moment you need a result to validate you, you stop thinking clearly. And when you put excess importance on your goal, you don't move faster, you move tighter. When you think that you need something, your mind is acknowledging that you don't already have it. And the mindset shift that you need to have is that whatever you want, you already have. Believe and you will receive it. A tight energy repels opportunity. This also explains something else. Every time something went wrong, instead of learning from it, I was letting it define me. A client churned and I felt like a failure. Or my outreach didn't work and I was questioning myself. And as momentum started to slow, I spiraled. And this is where most entrepreneurs quit. Not because they're lazy, but because setbacks are proof that they were wrong to start. And I got pushed right to that edge. Because when you need clients, you start repelling them. You stop refining your strategy. You stop thinking long term. You start reacting emotionally. And when someone doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, it crushes you because your identity is attached to the outcome. And what that resulted was I started believing that I was a failure because that's what my reality was reflecting back at me. However, my mum used to tell me when I was a kid, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And I finally understand what she meant, because there's so much stigma around the word failure, but failure is just feedback. You can only ever connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. So many times things didn't go to plan, and in that moment I had no idea why. But I kept moving forward and I kept reflecting. And when I look back at it, every single one of those moments has shaped my character or has strengthened my business. You see, nothing was wasted or failed. It just wasn't explained yet. Okay, so if you know me, you know that I love listening to podcasts of successful entrepreneurs, athletes, people who have really built something which seemed impossible. Listening to people's come-up stories really motivates me and gets me inspired to keep on going because I can actually see them in a similar position to where I am at the start of my journey. And what you start to realize is every overnight success story always had a similar phase where there was either no income, high stakes, high pressure, and people telling them to be realistic about life. Some of the biggest and best entrepreneurs have had to go through challenges and setbacks 100 times worse than what maybe you and me are going through right now. Someone like Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, when he was building that company, he had no income, he had a baby on the way, and he'd been rejected by over 200 investors. And his father-in-law had sat him down and said, look, mate, you've got to get a real job now. It's time to quit the hobby. And now Howard Schultz is worth over $3 billion and Starbucks is a $100 billion company, all because he persevered and went through and had that faith that he can do it. Alex Hormozi, my personal favorite and probably everyone else's favorite business creator, when building Gym Launch, had to find a way to earn 150,000 USD in 30 days because he had been burned by, I think, 2 clients. And he couldn't sleep, but that setback unfolded a series of events in which he discovered the business model that would take Gym Launch to a $50 million exit. And now here's how I see it. The bigger the challenge, the higher the stakes, the more pressure the situation is, the more you're failing, the greater your triumph will be. You have to remember that moving slow doesn't mean that it's broken, and quiet doesn't mean that you're losing. It usually means that you're laying down the foundations, which no one can see or cares about yet. So if you're experiencing failure and growing, at the end of the day, you might even be on the right path. And that is why I would rather build slow and honest than fast and flashy. Because flashy fades, but character compounds. Have faith that you're exactly where you need to be. And one day you'll look back and you'll connect the dots. And one day you'll look back and the dots will connect. And you'll realize you already had everything you needed all along. Thank you very much for listening all the way to the end. If this message was of some value to you, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you want to learn a bit more about what I do and my journey, have a look at the links in the description below. I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.